Hello and welcome to the Business of Property podcast. I'm Stuart.
And I'm Simon.
And we've been finding, buying and growing income from property for over 20 years. And we talk every week about the reality of running our property businesses. And quick reminder, as always, if you are enjoying the show and you've got any value from us over the last few episodes, please do leave at least a rating or even better, a review, and you'll get a shout out as many others have had on the show. Now, today we welcome special guest, Julia Scoville, who's already pointed out that she might have a spicy surname, but she's not going to be too spicy with us today. So welcome to the show, Julia.
Well, thank you for having me, Stuart and Simon.
You're very welcome. And the reason we've invited Julia onto the show is because Julia has done a thing which many people aspire to do, which is not only starting a property business. In her experience was a lettings business, but she started, grew and exited, sold a property business and has moved on. So we're going to get into that today, really, because we thought that would be quite useful for any of us. So for myself, for example, I am growing a lettings business by proxy because it's almost 100-room business, although it's still a property company. So Julia, the first question I thought would be good to start today was, how did the lettings business come about? Did it start as you started it as a lettings business? Did you move into that? How did you decide to start on lettings?
Yes, Stuart, very good question. It wasn't something that we strategically outlined that we really want to have letting business. And I'm saying we, it's myself and my business partner. So when we started our property journey, we were refurbing lots of properties for ourselves, diverting them into HMOs, and then we were offering service and still do to other people who want to build portfolio but don't have knowledge how to do it and don't have time but do have money. So naturally, we were refurbing those properties, and when it came down to think who can manage HMOs, who is going to look after them, frankly, we couldn't find or trust anyone on the high street to do it because it's quite specialized way of management. And the reason why, again, I came to that idea is because back in the days when I was much younger, I used to share, property myself when I was a student. So I know it's quite different to your traditional buy-to-let. So that's how idea born, really. Instead of getting someone else to manage, let's open up our own letting agency. I should point out, I've never been letting agent in my life. I never even aspired to be one. So having letting business was something completely new to me. So yes, that's how the idea started.
And which area were you operating in? Which part of England?
So it's West Sussex in Crawley. And, our agency was specializing in HMO and still is. In HMO management. So there is lots of details, processes and everything else around that specific setup of the properties.
Fantastic. So you were doing it for yourselves. You thought you can do it better because there's no one specializing it. So you then started it. How then did you grow that business?
Well, that's really good, actually, question, because when I started, simultaneously, myself and my business partner were running 3 businesses, and we all started them pretty much almost around the same time. So we were establishing 3 businesses. So we kind of decided to delegate, right? So she looked after the refurb side of the project and businesses, whereas I started to establishing our letting agency. So I had to learn how to be a estate agent or letting agent, I should say, at the same time as building the business. So I had to learn all the regulations. I have to find out, all the requirements for registering with different bodies, the software research, all those kind of things. But what was, I guess, different for me, that from day one, I was building that business to be, I call it exit ready. So from day one, even if it was just me at that time, already start noting down all the processes. I've outlined the mission statement for that letting agency, the vision, the values as well. And then once we start recruiting people to come and work for us, it was really, really easy for us to train them. It was easy to interview them because we had the mission of our company, of our letting agency, how we're different from any other letting agency out there. And then naturally we're attracting those people and during the interview, we were trying to suss out, are they supporting our vision? Are they resonating with our values? And if the answer is yes, well, they're a good fit, right? If the answer is not, they're not good fit for us. It was becoming a tool of the company that I can outline. And lots of business owners, when they're starting their business, especially those who maybe worked in corporate career, one of the reasons why they want to start their own business, because they want to walk away from corporates, right? They just had enough of that lifestyle and that culture. And so they're almost like dismissing everything about corporate world and things that they've learned. But actually, corporate world, okay, the culture itself might be brutal, but the way they manage the business on a larger scale, those big global companies, the reason why they're managing is because they do have systems and they do follow those principles and basics. And it all starts with a vision, mission statement, values, and so on. So from day one, it was my objective. I'm building this business to sell. And so whatever I was doing in that business, I was thinking, right, okay, how I can systemize it so it will be ready for sale, how I can attract people to come and work for us and train them in a way that it doesn't rely on me anymore.
Yeah, I'm sitting here smiling and laughing because that is exactly my experience and something I truly believe in what you're talking about, because I was that corporate person. I left that corporate life, and I was, even though I enjoyed my time, when I left, it was like, right, I'm leaving all of that stuff behind, then started a property business and decided to use nothing that I'd learned for the previous 20 years. And it was only once I introduced vision, values, and then applied the strategy to all of those things that the business grew. And in the last 5 years, so the first 2, 3 years, the business did not grow. And then the last 5 years, it's really grown. So completely subscribe to that. And what I also wanted to underscore for listeners, what you said is you started building something that was going to be exit ready. And that doesn't make a lot of sense to some people. But equally, it makes a lot of sense to me, because I know that even if I don't want to sell in 10 years, how do I make it exit ready? Well, I do what you've just talked about. I have to build systems and processes so that if I were to exit, someone would buy it because they don't want to buy a job. But equally, even if I retain that business, it means it's running as a business. It's not just me. So I think you've shared some really, really good advice for anyone that's aspiring to grow property businesses. So we've talked about how you built the structure, the systems, the processes to grow a business. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced, and what would you identify as one of your biggest mistakes as a team to building that business?
So I want to share with you actually what I've done. So actually, it's interesting because when my business was doing that in lettings, I fell pregnant with my second child. So it was good news, but also it was bad news because I was thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? It's already so much, too much. And on the top of this, I know when you've got just newborn, how much attention they need. And honestly, I just thought, how I'm going to do this. So in a way, it's kind of good thing that happened to me because it's really pushed me to think, number one, outside of the box. Number two, systems and processes, automation must, I don't have that time to offer to my business to do things any longer. So what I've done with that, I've started noting down all our systems and processes. And then when I was recruiting staff, I will give them intensive training, like full month. I'll be with them every single day. I'll be watching them, renting the rooms, talking to people on the phone, filling up the software, kind of checking where the mistakes are, giving them feedback, making them better all the time. For example, when they will do the viewings for the rooms, renting out, they will be upstairs, taking people upstairs to look at the rooms. I'll be downstairs listening, like what they could have done better. And naturally, because my corporate career was in learning and development, I was coach for big banks. So I've got the skill set of developing my staff and team. So I always was giving them feedback to the point where after 1 month, I will feel so confident in them. I'll get them sign off from our processes and I'll leave it to them. And so what we've done, we hired an office in Manor Royal in Crawley, in Regis. and my staff was operating from that office. I wasn't there a month at a time. So, but I had trust in them, and I knew that they're fully capable of doing what expected. I knew they're following the system and processes, but also they love that approach because I gave them freedom to make success, to make business, hitting the goals, hitting the targets, to think outside of the box. It's almost like they felt like it's their own baby as well and their own business. Obviously, I will have regular check-ins for them, like daily calls in the mornings. We set objective for the day, targets, and then we'll have another phone call in the evening asking, what went well, what didn't, all that stuff. So that was happening great. And you ask about the challenges. So that was the challenge number one. When I found out I was pregnant, how I'm going to do this. But actually, it's made me think outside of the box and think how I can make things better. And I guess the challenge or mistake number two that we made in our business, because managing HMO, you managing so many relationships in a house, and also because we were very passionate about being personable with we don't even call them tenants, so the term we use, residents, and there is a reason behind that as well why we do that. So we became so personal with our residents, and we so been focusing on customer service and pleasing them that actually it's went into detrimental situation against us. Like we start having phone calls, like, I don't know, 8 o'clock at night. We had phone calls on the weekends that we have to pick up. We also set up WhatsApp chats for each house where we can almost like kind of check, right, what the situation they're going in a house, how are the people getting along, and somehow we start being involved and becomes almost like mums. My business partner used to call me like, you're becoming our mom for our residents, and they will used to complain, like they will call me, I don't know, like 11 o'clock at night. I remember this girl for me, and she said another girl's boyfriend came in the house, and we all had a drink, and now he's becoming rowdy and he's offensive, and he, I don't feel safe in the house. Can you come over right now and do something? And I was like, well, what I'm supposed to do, right? I'm not going to beat him up or anything. I said, look, you have to call the police, but I have to guide them through what to do. So it's and then there was one other situation where I guess the people, the residents in the house became very friendly, and they were organizing lots of parties or gatherings, and they used to stay up until late, but one specific individual didn't get along with them, and so the friction developed, and like every tiny little thing that has been happening in the house, it's just like a spark, and the arguments and the hatred and whatever, and obviously I'll be in the middle of all this. So it's kind of made me realize I'm becoming too involved. I'm taking too much responsibility and becoming like them. At the end of the day, they're adults, right? So they have to have the tools or deal with those kind of situations themselves. So it's taught us as a business to set strict boundaries. And, because we are a small business, we're getting very personal with our customers, is to understand that you have to set yourself and set that boundaries with your customers. And as much as you don't want to be faceless, you have to create that boundary. Otherwise, it just becomes too much. And again, that's actually not helping your business to be as a business. It becomes, again, one of those situations where it's just a job, and, you single operate and you're too intimate with your clients. So that's like second, I guess, biggest learning we've done, or mistakes and learning we've done in our business.
And it's a great learning, and that's why we ask that sort of question, because you get the experience to know how to operate, and because you've talked through the challenges of building the systems and processes with staff and building it, and then what seems like a great thing, because you're developing relationships with your residents, what you call residents, which is brilliant. And I try and call them customers, but in my business, just to get us away from tenant, basically. But by being so personable you've now become integral to their staying within the property, which, and again, that's the great learning that you've just pulled out for everybody, is that by doing that, it stopped being a business, because you can't have a system and process that needs Julia involved in it, because you can't take yourself out if you're getting calls to separate boyfriends, girlfriends, and residents from each other. So it's a great learning. So we've talked about how you've grown, and so just talk us through then the growing. So you've built a bit of a system of frameworks and processes. Then was it just organic growth that got the business to where you wanted it to be?
So we had organic growth from doing refurbs and acquiring our clients in that way. Then obviously that wasn't just sustainable by itself. If you're growing business, you have to sell through number different channels. So then it was finding the clients through networking, through being in a property world as well. We did marketing as well, like leaflet marketing and letter marketing to landlords as well. So it became more active approach. And with that also, like a true believer, everyone in your company must sell. They should have ability to sell. And if they don't, you need to train them to do that. And there is lots of negative image, right, about selling. It's like pushing something that people don't want, which again, I work a lot with my team to, if they do have that belief, to overcome that, because actually you're not selling, you're serving, you're providing solution to other people that they like looking for. And if you're not shouting out loud about that solution, well, you don't do them service actually. So it became kind of more attracting landlords in that way, like through conversations, but also training my staff to go and sell. Like if I'll find a hot lead for them, I'll say, look, go and speak to that person, see how we can help, see what they're doing. Especially those who just were refurbing the properties. That was brilliant opportunity to get in, because like they're just refurbing, they're not on a stage yet to think about who is going to, like they haven't signed a contract with any letting agent. So it's a great way to get connected, but also give them a bit of your expertise and show them that you are expert, and maybe point out to say, well, look, the fire alarm, has to be this, or if you're creating storage in a room, if it's going to be HMO, you might want to add hooks, or, like kind of show that you know what you're talking about, so they can value that you're much more than just operational letting agent.
Yeah. And so you've grown the business, and I'm just wondering if you had it already in your mind that there was a point at which you were going to look to sell, or whether that just thought came to you at a certain point in the business. So how did that develop?
Yes, was interesting. So we always was thinking we're going to sell it. That was the objective. I guess there was like interesting turns in my business. So I've attracted this amazing star in terms of star member, right, to my business. And so I was interviewing someone for a role of letting manager. And my process was, first of all, it's phone call. So over the phone, that person sounded like, I don't know, like 30 years old, gentleman. I was like, great. And turning up for face-to-face interview, and there is like a, excuse my term, sporty teenager sitting there, like very, very young person. I'm thinking, oh my God, this just doesn't match. I might as well just turn away. I thought, okay, he turn up, and, I just give him time. So I grilled him to my dearest life with questions and interviews, and bless him, he actually handled it all. As much as he was nervous, he handled all. But I've seen in him sheer hunger for success, sheer determination to make this work. And I thought, you know what, you're the right person. So I've trained him up, and he just was soaking everything like a sponge. So he was my A-star person. And down the line, he got headhunted by Fox and Son. And he came to me and he said, Julia, I'm, so sorry. I have to hand my notice. I'm going to head, Fox and Sons. They offer better salary, blah, blah, blah. I could have kept him in my business, but I thought, you know what? It's his journey. He needs to go and work for corporate. So He did, and he faced the challenges in corporate world, as everyone does, because he was doing so well in that world. He started making other people who've been in the business for donkey's years looking bad. So obviously all that started happening against him. So he was like, Julia, can I come back 3 months down the line? Can I come? I was like, no, you staying there. It's either make it or break it point for you, and I'll let you know how to navigate all this. So he stayed for 1 year, and you will understand why I'm saying all this story to you. And then after 1 year, he says, Julia, look, the culture actually doesn't fit me. I love working for you. I loved that you gave me freedom and you gave me this almost like entrepreneurial ownership of what I was doing in my job. And by the way, I've learned how corporates do business, and I've got now an idea and plan, marketing plan, how we can grow your business as well by doing more, like doing buy-to-lets and offering just initial onboarding service. So he came up with a plan. So we kind of faced in our business, in our letting agency, a choice or decision. We either grow exponentially or we sell. So that was really, really interesting. So at that point, me and my business partner, we I guess we kind of came to the point where we came a bit tired in running so many businesses, like as I mentioned, 3 businesses developing at the same time. And we thought, you know what, like it's a good time to actually offload something. So we packaged our lettings up, it was kind of exit ready from day one, and we put it out there for an offer. And we approached local estate agents and competition. That was the best way of doing for us as well, to sell that business, because we've got relationship with our customers as well. We've got relationship with our homeowners. We didn't want them to go to like, kind of high street letting agency and pass on. And we just knew they're not going to get looked after in the same way. So it's made sense for us to pitch it to people in our network. So we had 2 good offers on the table. And we went through the diligence stage. We start kind of talking about the multiplier, the number, and so on. And then my business partner goes, actually, you know what, going through all this, I realized that I can't exit yet. So our conversation led to then take decision for me to exit. And she was buying out my share, which again spin the whole experience of selling your business upside down, because together we were pitching our business to outside world, and we were trying to build the value of our business and show the value of our business to other people and how they're going to benefit from getting our business. And now all of a sudden I have to pitch my share to my business partner and think from completely different view. And obviously she knows everything about our business inside out, so she doesn't have to do due diligence. So it was really interesting mindset process as well. So yes, that's what we did. At the end of the day, she bought my share. I've exited that business, and it's now gave me freedom and more time and choice to do something that I'm very passionate about. So what I'm doing right now is business coaching. So I've kind of combined my skill set of corporate world, of training, development, coaching, plus being a business owner and setting up businesses from scratch, now to help other small, medium-sized business owners to get into exit-ready position. Because, through my experience, I face so many stories when we know life is a wonderful thing, right? It throws all sorts at you. It slaps you, it gives you lemons, and you just don't know when they're going to appear in your life. And if you have to sell your business or exit because you have to look after your loved one because they fell ill, or your health actually went down, or the children, or maybe you're relocating for whatever reason, you just don't know, right? What's happening, what can happen. If you're not exit ready, there are 2 usually options that happens. Number one, you're going to sell your business at peanuts because actually it's not systemized, and other business owner doesn't want to buy a job. Other business owner or investor, they want to invest into your business and start getting the return. Or number 2, you're just going to walk away because the pressing issues of your personal life will be so greater than actually selling that business and making money. So to me, it's a crime to sacrifice so much of your personal life, because I know myself how much sacrifices all business owners have to make, put your blood, sweat, and tears into it, and then not benefit financially. There are only 7 steps. I kind of take my clients through 7 steps of systemizing a business and getting into exit ready position. And it's simple
Right.
and it's easy to do. So that's my passion now, and that's what I do.
Very good, and that's coming through, and we will come back to that. But and I'm just thinking from a listener perspective, and certainly from a very selfish perspective. The first thing I'm thinking about when you talk about, so we talked about, you've found a lettings business that you wanted to grow. You've grown that business. You've learned how to scale that business and build it, focusing on both customer side and internal and training elements of it to build it so that it's systemized and can operate without you, and got it to a level where you can sell it to somebody else or another company. How did you set about valuing that? So you talked about multiples, and I'm going to just sort of highlight that for the listeners. So I typically think we can think about the business in terms of its revenue, its total revenue, or my understanding of a lot of businesses when they think about selling, they're going to sell it based on a profit basis. So what we call the EBITDA, so the earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. So how did you guys set about valuing that? Because then I just want to touch on how that may or may not have changed when it became an external sale to an internal sale.
Well, it's a really great question, because I guess if you never packaged up your business for sale, there is this big, great myth when you speak, especially to accountant, the multiply is 3, this magic number. Usually it's multiply of 3 of your turnover. And so we got really excited, me and my business partner. Oh, multiply of 3, that looks really good. Until we actually faced the reality. And the reality was that you need to understand where the value of your business is. It's not even in system and processes. It's not even in your staff. It's not even in your unique proposition. Whoever going to buy your business, they're buying future profit. They're buying future income, right, from that business. So you need to understand where is that coming from in your business. So in letting business, it was landlords, obviously, homeowners using your service. So it's kind of understand what you've got, how many of them do you have, what your portfolio looks like. Because if you do have one landlord who maybe occupied 70% of your portfolio, that's a huge risk to your business, and your multiplier or the valuation of your business will go right down. So yes, EBITDA comes into place as well here. So we actually end up using multiplier. It wasn't 3, it was much less than that. But what has made us realize that, for example, with our value of our business, the biggest value of our business, it was contracts with our landlords, with our homeowners. So we thought how we can eliminate risk for new owner or investor. And one of the ways is to fix our landlords into 1 year or 2 year or 3 year. And as soon as you've done that, the value of your business goes up, because that gives security to a new owner that those customers not going to just walk away all of a sudden because they don't like the look of new owner. There is predictable income. It's all in black and white. It's in a contract. So they know that, they've got that period of time where they've got that income coming in, and then it's up to them to build those relationships, to please new customers, to build the business forward, and so on. So, yeah, hopefully that kind of gives you a bit of insight or answer.
It does. And did that change much when it became a sale between you and your former business partner versus selling to an external?
Yeah, so we it was actually really interesting again, because we packaged it up and we put like a sale pitch, right, about our business to external companies. When I was selling my share, I have to honor that terms and condition to my business partner as it would have been someone, like someone else, because I think that's only fair. So we use multiply, whatever multiplier was offered or negotiated with external people, we use that in our business. But obviously we deducted liabilities and stuff like that. Whereas with new external people who wanted to buy us, they weren't actually necessarily interested to buy our limited company. They were interested in buying our contracts with our landlords. So they weren't interested in buying our systems even, or take over the company itself. It's the landlords and contracts. So, but again, like this can be very depend on your buyer, what their objective is, what they needed, what they see value. So yes, it's really interesting process. And then since that experience, because I became working with lots of business owners who I take through systemizing the business to exit ready position, now I'm facing situations when my clients now ready to buy more or actually want to sell. So I sit sometimes in the middle or help them with negotiation. And I work alongside with a business broker, and he gave me lots of insights as well and stats of selling your business. And one of the interesting stats, I guess, that comes into play is that 65% of businesses don't sell that packaged up for sale for various reasons. But to sell the business, sometimes people think, oh yeah, it's easy, it's quick, I've got this Taj Mahal I'm selling, and they get really excited. But actually, on average, it does take 6 to 8 months to sell your business, and there is lots risk factors to kind of not to fall through. And actually, lots of it also, to start with, the foundation of selling your business lays between relationship of seller and the owner. It's almost like has to be perfect marriage, because the moment you got undermined trust with each other through due diligence stage or negotiation stage, it can just really fall flat on its face. So it's a delicate process.
Yeah, it's some great great advice there for anyone that's thinking about selling. And another good point is to think about who might buy your business. And it's funny because I met with an investor only yesterday, and it's one of the questions he had, because we were talking about exiting a business, and he said, well, you need to think about who's going to want to buy your business, not just from the highest level, or like in terms of, well, it's going to be an investor and they don't want to buy a job, but also who do you think, so as in, could it be an institutional business? Will it be another estate agency? Will it be a letting agent? And if so, why? So in your example, it's essentially they were buying the revenue stroke customer base to build in. And there's a great point around there about building out longer term contracts, because of course, if I'm buying a business and everyone's on a sort of rolling monthly contract, I'm thinking, well, actually, this could be gone in a month's time if, like you said before, they just decide to go and work with a competitor. So I think there's some really good advice there, which I'm just underlining for anyone listening. And as we draw to sort of close of this podcast, Julia, so you've exited the business and you've talked about, and it sounds that you're very passionate around helping people. So how did that come about once you exited the business? Is it just something you felt interested in? How did you move into the coaching side of the practice?
Yes, as I mentioned, life is a wonderful thing, right? Throws and slaps you. So that's what happened to me. So sadly, I've lost my mum a year and a half ago, and I lost my dad June this year. So all those kind of life events had, I guess, knock effect on me, and which then pushed me to think I have to, because in my previous business, I was very, how can I describe? I was very motivated, action taker. There was lots of push myself, do more, squeeze more, and eventually it does take toll on you as well. So I have to rethink my strategy, and I have to think about my personal health and my well-being and my, I guess, energy resources. So I've asked myself a question. Okay, Julia, now you've got time. You've sold your letting business. So what comes to you easy, naturally? Wake me up 2:00 in the morning. I can talk about it with no preparation. And the answer came to me. It was coaching, business, property. I thought, you know what, let's do that. If it's something I enjoy and I can talk forever, for ages, why not to be? So that actually switch was really interesting in my personal life as well, my business life, because I truly now being in a state of mind that I don't feel like I'm working, or what I do, it is work. I truly enjoy it. It truly gives me satisfaction and kickback. Not to say that letting business didn't. It was fun to build and construct, but now I'm involved into next level, and because of my experience, it's pushed me to think how I can do more with less and automate and systemize. I'm doing that in my business coaching as well. So I'm very, like that 80-20 rule, I'm very, I guess I perfected that in my actions. So I only do 20% of actions that creates 80% of results for me.
Fantastic. And that is the power of leverage once you've got the experience that you have and the passion which you clearly have for helping others. So for anyone that's listening that would like to contact you and understand a little bit more about how you operate and how you might be able to support them, where's the best place for them to go, Julia?
Absolutely. So number one, I'm on Instagram. It's Julia_business coaching. Number two, it's my website. Number three, I will be launching my own podcast and YouTube channel. So Julia Redline Coaching, that's my umbrella for my coaching business. So just message me. I'm very approachable. As you can see, very passionate about helping people. So even if you're going to end up having a little chat, that's just more than enough for me. So yes, more than welcome to have a little chat.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. And all that leaves me to do, Julia, is to say thank you very much on behalf of Simon and myself for joining us today. For everyone else, I hope you've got some value from that, because there was a lot of golden ear nuggets in there. So if you've got that value, please do leave a rating and review, and feel free to contact Julia. Those contact details will also be in the show notes. And other than that, we'll see you on the next episode.